Hello and welcome to Computer Tech and More. Today we're going to do a roundup of all the fans I've tested so far. What is the best fan for your computer case in any particular type of application? Let's get right into it. This is going to be a difficult one probably for me to talk about. These roundup ones are a little bit odd for me, but let's get right into it. Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit to what we're seeing because it's a little bit hard. So each of these big columns are literally every single fan I've tested. I've tested 72 fans so far. If you're able to zoom in to read the data, you're able to see everything. So we got noise normalized, and then we have 100% PWM fan signaling for the second two columns. The red box indicates the zoomed in area, which represents the top 42 fans in their respective categories. So that's noise normalized and at 100%. Whew. So now that all of that is said, you can then see how fans rank overall to see which fans you may be most interested in using for your CPU air coolers. So we got like the T30 ranked 5th over here, and at 100% it's ranked 2nd. The Tough Fan 12 Turbo is ranked 1st noise normalized, while over here I'm actually looking for it. Oh, right there, it's ranked 12th. And so if fans are functionally equivalent, you're going to see multiple of the same value. It's just the way Excel calculates things. So it'll skip some numbers. So you can pause this and see which fans you're most interested in, but let's get right onto the graphs. So first up right here, we have noise normalized through the CPU air cooler, best to worst. And, well, not very, very worst, but the top, I'm not even going to count these, but the top, so many that we see on the screen. So the Tough Fan 12 Turbo is right there. We got the Mobius 120p ARGB, Masterfan SF120M, the Unifan SL Infinity is right there. That's pretty good result right there for noise normalized values. And just for a reference point, here is the A12X25, widely regarded as the most versatile fan currently available on the market. I personally own like 4 of these fans, although currently none of them are in computers, ironically. But anyways, so we got the General Typhoon on here, and you can see how they rank. These are all noise normalized results. When we crank things up to 100% PWM fan signaling, we're going to have the fan model, the RPM it's running, and the noise level it generated. Noise level does matter because you don't want your computer to be a rickety-rackety wind generating machine that's too noisy for your office space. But these rankings will ignore fans that are a little bit lower than it, such as the A12X25, which is no longer on the graph. It's at 1.9 meters per second of airspeed for just shy of 20 decibels. So just as a reference mark. So fans that are close to would be like the Lightwings 120. It's a little bit noisier than the A12X25, but it is pushing more air. So again, that 20 decibel mark. But these are the highest performing fans, ignoring noise value altogether. So if you need ultra performance, but you don't want it to be too noisy, pick the one that has the highest performance value for the least amount of noise. And the T30 is okay. Actually, the Iceberg Thermal is pretty okay. The P12 Max is really good for its given airspeed. It's quite a lot noisier than the other fans around it. So we're going to move on to the next group, which is air cooler speed to the air cooler versus its noise ranking. And again, this isn't every single fan listed. If you're curious about a specific fan, I do have videos out for all of these fans. And if part of my redone series, a fan that you're interested in isn't published yet, I'd be happy to type out some of the information that's missing for it. Just because with the Christmas holidays and Black Friday coming up, I'm pushing out this before all of my videos will come out and be published. So what do we see on here? We see the P12 Max at lower RPMs. It's not very good overall, but as your RPM increases from, let's say, 20, 30, 40, 50%, PWM fan ceiling, it's doing really well. But you're also dealing with essentially the A12X25's noise level running at 100%. So if you think the A12X25 running at 100% is noisy, then you're going to think the P12 is a hurricane, I guess, particularly noisy. But if you need that absolute top end performance, you just can't go wrong. But you do need to accept other nuances about that fan. If you don't need quite that level of raw performance, the Tough Fan 12 Turbo is actually a much quieter fan across a wide area of its noise profile. It just doesn't have the same sort of top end. Matter of fact, if they did Tough Fan 12, I don't know what would be better than a turbo. Rocket engine, Rocket, Tough Fan 12 Rocket. It could very well just be and kick serious butt. But maybe there are just limitations with the material design or yada, yada, yada. Ones that I think are kind of should avoid a little bit are actually like the T30. It is just so noisy for how little performance you're getting. Mind, it does push a lot of air, but you need its RPMs way up there for it to be like really functional. Sorry, I was highlighting the A14 here, which is actually also really noisy for how much performance you're getting. The T30 is still a bit on the noisy side for what you're getting. It's not as bad as I was saying before, but it's still kind of on the bad side of things. So depending on your RPM range, like once you're past, I don't know, 20 decibels, it starts getting really quite noisy until it's really spinning quite fast. So with regard to the Noctua, I'm really excited about seeing Noctua's new A14 replacement. I hope to get my hands on it shortly after they've like released it. God, I wish I was a bigger channel that had like power to be like, hey Noctua, send me a fan. I'm not there yet. So we'll just have to wait and see. Other fans, the Mobius 120 OC is okay. It's not great. What other fans do we got in here? The Unifan SL140 is doing pretty okay. It doesn't have quite the top end, but it's doing okay in terms of its line graph. So this is where it leads me to, you have to determine which kind of category is best for you. Do you need overall good performance? Do you need best top-end performance without being too noisy? Do you need better low-end performance? And this is where it's up to you to determine. And any fans of particular interest, I do recommend to see that specific video about it because I've concentrated and focused in on that one specific fan. Okay, now we're on to the value proposition for these fans. Same sort of thing that we were seeing before, where I highlighted the top, in this case 43 fans, and the absolute best value is the TLG12. Again, not best performance, but it's the best bang for the buck. So if you're on a tight budget, you can't go wrong with that one. At 100% PWM fan ceiling, it is the P12 Max, and in second place, it is the TLG12. Just goes to show just how good and cheap that fan is. Again, not maximum performance. Then we have the P12. It is in a good position overall. The Montech metal is overall pretty good. It doesn't have quite the top end, but it's certainly overall adequate. The F12, the TLC12, TLC12, the Storm series is in there. So I'll let you determine it for yourself. Next, we have my case simulation test, and I'm going to go over what the test is specifically in the next set of pictures. But we got the top 43 fans for the 6-inch mark, and then the top 43 fans at the 11-inch mark. So I know I'm missing one of the data points, but I'll allow you to take a look at it. You can pause, but I encourage you to watch what comes next, and that's this. So the data points are measured at the 6-inch, 9, 11, and 14.5-inch mark, and these are representative of different sized cases. So 6-inch is a small form factor case, probably an ITX case, but still a front-to-back airflow with a CPU air cooler. The 9-inch mark is represented by a compact tower, which would be able to hold an ATX motherboard, but a GPU of length of that motherboard. Then we have the 11-inch mark, which is represented by your standard mid-tower cases, so Corsair 5000 series, Corsair 550D from their sitting eras, Meshify 2C, and then we have the 14.5-inch mark, which is represented by like the Fractal Design Torrent. So you do want the maximum airspeed for your particular size case, so you don't want to select a better fan for the 6-inch mark and buy a large tower. You do want to make sure you're matching the airspeed for the case size you actually plan on buying. So now that is all out of the way, which fan is the best? Noise normalized. Right here, it is this fan right here. And it is the Silent Wings 4 Pro 140mm class fan. It is just kicking some serious butt, noise normalized. Second is a little bit more of a, how do we call it, mixed bag. So at the 6-inch mark, we got the blue one right here, which looks like the Mobius 140p, and it maintains maybe that's not the 140p. Took F12, so it does really well at the 6-inch mark, and then drops well lower by the 9-inch mark, and then it swings over this way and ends up sort of in the middle of the pack by the 14.5-inch mark. Not a bad result overall, but I'd call it pretty good overall. Did we do this one? The Masterfan SF120M is doing pretty well at the 9 and the 11-inch mark, while at the 6-inch mark, it's kind of more, actually, no, it's quite towards the top there, and then swings down, but still in a pretty good position overall. This blue one, I believe, is the Mobius 140p, doing pretty well over here, kind of, it's right in the middle there, hard to see, and then it swings up and comes on over, so it's sort of the middle, down, up, and over. So it's overall looking pretty good overall. Then we have the red line here, which is the X2GP18, and that wins by being a 180mm class fan. So it lacks a little bit at the 6-inch mark, but it's able to maintain a high airspeed by 14.5 inches. So that larger size fan does have advantages at being able to maintain high airspeed over across in the entirety of a computer case. And if you're curious about any other fans, just message me. I can try to help you decipher it. I know there's a lot in there. And we have another grouping, which is at 100% PEW fan signaling, where we start separating these fans out a little bit further. So we got the orange fan right here, which is the Silent Wings 4 Pro 140, and it maintains a really high airspeed until we reach the 14.5-inch mark, where it drops below, while the X2GP18 is ranked first overall. Again, that larger size fan does have advantages for a bigger case, because the air just doesn't have room to spread out, because it's already filled the entire case with air. Mind, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. This does depend on the front intake for the fan, for the computer case, because you could go, well, I've got 200mm class fans out there, then that should be even better. But most of those 100 or 200mm class cases that have that size fan on it, the whole layouts actually behind it are like for 120s or 140s, so they're being partially obstructed. So you're not actually getting that 200mm class fans worth of air, while the Fractal Design Torrent is designed around this 180mm class fan, so that open cavity, the build area inside the case is actually designed for that airflow in mind. So it's just a thing to be conscious of when you're selecting these fans. Second position for the 6 and 9-inch mark does belong to the Gentle Typhoon, but it drops away. So this brings up my other point. 120mm class fans tend to do better at the 6 and 9-inch mark. 140s tend to do better at the 11 and 14.5 on average. Blue line here is the Mobius 140p, doing a pretty good result overall. Doesn't have the same kind of peaks as other fans, but it's able to maintain a very streamlined flow pattern overall speaking. So it's not a bad result for it. Next, we have the 9-inch mark. The 9-inch mark was chosen because I needed to maintain an airspeed over 0.5 meters per second, and that meant taking a look at the worst fan and picking an airspeed better than it could perform. So that's why the 9-inch mark was chosen, but this sort of data could be taken at any data point, but I think you'd have to do it yourself because there are just too many data points to do, and my reviews are long enough as they are. If you're wondering why some of these fans have joggles, this is where I hit a harmonic frequency within the fan, where it creates a quick spike in noise value, and then once you get the PWM fan signal past it a little bit, the fan quiets right back down again. Overall, harmonics are not a good thing in fans. You want a fan without harmonics. But they are easy enough to avoid as long as you remember to set up your fan curves to kind of skip past it. So this is a weakness of the Silentwings 4 Pro 140. It has two harmonics, one at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Nope, I have it at not quite every 5. Somewhere in the middle, so let's say around 50%, and then somewhere around 100, 90, 80, 70, maybe, that's not 60, 100, 90, 95, maybe like 80% PWM fan signal. I need to rewatch my review of the video or actually go through the data, but needless to say, it does have a couple of harmonics in it. But other than that, it is very efficient noise-wise. Very impressive, actually. The Mobius 140p is doing overall pretty well. It does dip down a little bit, and then it comes back, while other fans tend to drop away a little bit more. We have the Tough Fan 12 Turbo in there. The A12X25 is in there, looking pretty good. So these are all some of the better fans. If you pick any one of these, you'd probably be relatively happy with the noise to performance characteristics that you're getting. And then we have the value proposition. And again, we have the top 43. And value proposition is just how much performance you're getting per dollar, once again. So the top performer here at the 6-inch mark is the TLG12. And at the 11-inch mark is the TLG12 once again. 6-inch mark, second place is the F12, then the C12. TLC12, then the P12, Montac Metal. What else do we have? The Storm, TLC12 Pro. So cost of the fan is a very heavy wing factor in here. Like the 19th place is the General Typhoon. So you're not going to see the A12X25 for quite a while. Here's the A12X15, I do believe. It got cut off. There's the A12X25 ranked 33rd overall out of 72 fans. So it's actually in a good position, but its value is kind of middle of the road. So if you're on an ultra tight budget, you know you want to get a better value. And then things do shake up at the 11-inch mark as we get farther away. So this is where fans that need a better concentrated airflow actually like really coming out. So the TLG12 is still ranked really well. We got the Wonder Snail ranked 13th. Let's see. The Mobius 140p is ranked 22nd. The A12X25 is ranked 30th. So you start seeing kind of how things shake up there. Let's wrap this thing up. So that concludes this video. I wanted to thank you for joining me on my third installment of my roundup video. I'm not sure what order they're going to be coming out in, but this is the one where I covered every single one of the fans that I tested. If you've got fans that you want me to test to take a look at in the future, please leave that in the comment sections down below. If you've got ways that I can improve my videos, I know that, well, these roundups are a one-off for me, so wasn't really, well, I was figuring out how to format it. So still working that part out to try to figure out the best presentation. Hopefully I improve it for like the next time I do a roundup. If you're looking at ways to support this channel, hitting that subscribe button goes a long way for me. And if you're looking at being able to get me to the next level, because I do have future plans for this channel to improve the overall testing methodology, but what I'm lacking in is money. I hate to say it that way, but it is just a simple fact. Where if you want to support me to get me to that point, well, joining me as a YouTube member or joining me on Patreon would go a long way. Every penny collected, earned, whatever you want to call it, would go directly back into this fan testing to acquire better testing equipment and, of course, the purchasing of more fans. Other than that, I hope you have a great day. Hope to see you next time here on Computer Tech and More, and goodbye.